Good morning. Welcome to Presence of Light. I would just like to open this with a little resounding from my bowls. Just allow that to enter into your consciousness and allow that to fill you with the vibrations that align with your heart, your pineal, and your crown chakras. And I ask that each of us open our hearts this morning to the words that come through, as they are not just my words, but they are your words and words for all of humanity. And it is an honor for me to be here and to present those to each of you as you appear and listen. So with that, I want to thank you for being here, and thank you for being a part of the humanity healing community. It is an honor for me to share my thoughts, my words, the messages that my ascended masters and guides allow me to present to the world. And good morning, Lisa. Pleasure to have you here. And blessings. Today's topic is not one that I would really like to talk about from a personal standpoint, but I feel in representing light that it needs to be addressed to those of us who are compassionate and the caregivers and kindness bearers of the world, who are trying to make a difference for humanity. And the issue arises out of the children in Florida who were shot and killed. And each of us around the world feel that in our hearts when we hear that. So I'm asking each of us to just feel into our own pain around this and know that this pain that we're feeling is not about judgment. It's not about right or wrong. It's about the fact that somehow we as human beings, spirit-filled bodies, have created a separation in the world where our children are now separated within themselves. And it is truly tragedy, not just for those involved, but every human that lives on this planet at this time. So with that, yesterday I wrote something. Yes, Lisa, I know you know what they're going through. And as I've said to you before, my empathy is with you as you try to work through your own loss in your own life. And many of us are working through losses in our lives. And it doesn't have to be just children or murder by violence or by guns, or it's just a form of insanity that people are not addressing. And so yesterday I wrote in the morning a passage and I will read it to you because I was concerned. I didn't want to dwell too much, and I found myself reacting. And I always try to guide people as I guide myself, is to try to not take a quick reactionary stance when something horrible happens, but to feel into the energy of it and first allow it to fill me, and for me to discern what am I going to do with my own energy within myself first before I go out into the world. And so yesterday was a day of that. And so I will just read these words. It's about choice, and it's about choosing to be an observer rather than a reactor. And they're very powerful. So let me read those first. I choose to quietly see beyond what is appearing before me. I choose patience, knowing that my faith is held within it. I choose trusting my greater self rather than living in fear. I choose to align perfectly the abundance of the universe. I choose to let go of all that does not resonate with my heart. I choose these moments of deep and peaceful resonance in all that is presenting itself before me or surrounding me. I choose that my most gracious energies be restored to their full strength and glory in order to become the observer and not the reactor. And I will place those in a comment at this point right now. And let's see, we can do this. There you go. Oh, well, sorry. I posted that and it came out backwards. So we'll do this again. I'll post it again right here. And not click end broadcast. That was the problem. So we learn, must click enter. Thank you. So hope you get back on with me. So my inner child says laugh. Don't take yourself so seriously, Charlie, even though today's topic is a serious one. So again, it's about our failing our children in the world, and how we, as people of Humanity Healing Network and around the world, have an opportunity now to not so much get caught up in differences of opinions, but look at opposite viewpoints regarding what's happening to our children, and realize that in this case, where the issue now rises once again about automatic weapons and gun ownership and failure of governments to respond, all of these things are valid opinions. Yet deeper within us all is a moment where we have to really stop and look in the mirror and not engage so much with others at this point in time about what should be done, what shouldn't be done, but have a dialogue with ourselves and look into our own hearts regarding what we understand and the values that we hold about life. I wrote a lengthy thing this morning. Parts of it I may check in with and read it because it'll jog my mind. But the message for me was that guns are weapons of death. There is no purpose for a gun except to kill. point blank. Doesn't matter to me whether people like that or they don't like that. People say, well, we like to do target practice. And I agree. I have no problem with anybody owning guns. I really don't. Because I know that it is not the gun that kills anybody. It's the human that's pulling the trigger. So laws and rules and regulations within reason. We need a license to drive a car. We need to take training to have a car. Those are valid and responsible actions by all of us. If I was going to buy a gun, I would want to know how to use it. I remember as a child learning how to ride a bike. I was dangerous. I was not only dangerous to myself, I was dangerous to everybody else on the sidewalk or in the streets. Wouldn't it have been nice if somebody taught me how to be responsible for my actions with that bicycle? That's my statement about guns. And that's as far as I'm going to go. Because in reality, those who love these automatic weapons, and they do, I don't agree, but they do, I can bless them and hope that they never use it in the manner in which it was just used in Florida. That is not the gun's fault. That's the human's fault. Which brings me to the children. We have failed our children. And I say that, it's a bold statement. And I know people will have a difference of opinion, and that's perfectly fine. But we have failed our children. Much more than we were failed when we were children. And if you look within your own heart, if you speak to the mirror, you will start to recognize how you were failed as a child. And how many of the ideas and concepts about life that we actually live out today were implanted at an age when we did not have the full potential to consciously work on what was being said and told to us. So we interpret things with the child mind. And in that child mind, we're looking to the elders, to our families, to support us, to encourage us, or to embrace us and empower us. Sure, we're going to rebel. We all do. This is the nature of childhood or adolescence, feeling your own power. But how we're failing our children today is through making them an object. We're objectifying them. We're making them a commodity. We're making them a sales point. We're making them a consumer conglomerate and treating them inhumanly. They have their cell phones, they have their technology, and they have access to everything in the world that you do, but they're not ready for it. So it's just as if when we were children, if somebody gave us the keys to the car and said, go drive it. And we did. And we crashed. And we burned. And we hurt others. Because we didn't have the ability, the full ability, to clearly discern what was correct or incorrect. I'm not going to say the words good or bad. Those are, again, opinions. They're viewpoints. And this is what's happened, is we've become separated from the children. And in being separated from the children, we've dishonored them. And we've dishonored ourselves. And so it's up to us to be the light in the world. You, me, and every one of us, to be the light in the world. And the light in the world doesn't seek death. The light in the world is the opposite of death. It's the life. And to be the life and the light in the world, we have to stop and take a moment and really start listening to what we're saying, to what we're promoting, to what we're buying, to what we're selling, why we're doing that, and what is the indirect effect on human consciousness. We've created a world of killers. Yeah. I have to take my own responsibility in that, just by not being seen or heard when I could have been in somebody's life, to not so much in a general public stance, but personally take a child and say, hey, instead of doing this, here's another way of looking at this, or here's another way of dealing with this. Instead, what we today is we sell drugs and we give them drugs. And we don't have a clue. Well, they do have a clue what's happening to their minds. They may already have had emotional problems to begin with. And when they give them the drugs, the hopelessness gets even deeper. There's no compassion in drugs. There's no love in drugs. There's no kindness in drugs. There's no love in guns. There's no compassion in guns. And there's no presence of life in either guns or drugs. So do we blame guns and drugs for the action of the child? Even though the child should be responsible? Note the word should. How many shoulds are there that we have failed in our own lives? Where we're failing is by not really putting an emphasis on producing, on raising or inspiring children, no matter what their ability is, to be the best that they can be. We've allowed them to form their own groups and gangs and hierarchy in total defiance. It's not mean it's going to go away in a hurry. This is human nature. But we as a collective of humans fail and have failed. And every time we're given an opportunity to do something positive, the word now is, we don't have the funding. It comes down to money. It comes down to money and greed over children. This is my problem. This is my opinion. This is where I'm going to have a difference of opinion from somebody else. I don't care if you own a gun, but I do care if you deny a child food, if you deny a child education, if you deny a child the ability to be something other than what the separation allows. That's my issue. I don't know how we resolve this other than quietly thinking in our own space and then seeking ways that we may express a positive energy back into the system. Some of you may do it with the children directly. Some of you may do it in study groups or in your businesses or in your political ways. But take away the hatred. Take away the anger. Remove it from what you're doing. Because anything done in anger and hatred only perpetuates more anger and hatred. Do it from a sense of love and compassion for all life. Deepen your relationship with your own life and express it in ways to the rest of life that uplifts them, that shines on them, that gives them nourishment and a sense of fulfillment, rather than just pushing it away, sending it over there, locking it in its room, telling it to shut up, telling it to go away. I'm too busy. Are we really too busy for humanity? Have we become so enamored with technology and money and stuff that we don't care anymore? Do we say we care and then walk by the trash on the street and not pick it up? We do that with the children. The children have become our trash. Those are words that hurt to say, believe me. But I say it to impress upon the minds of each one of you that somewhere in our hearts, and I include myself in this, somewhere in our hearts, we really have to move deep within and have an inner discussion in order to bring the light back into the life of children, not with a slogan, but through action, and supporting the actions of other people who may be on the ground floor, on the ground level, who are innovators in this process. And there's going to be more arising. So it's not necessarily each one of us have to do the hands-on work, but we can support them. We can support them physically, emotionally, sending energy, prayers. So many ways we can support each other. That's what I love about Humanity Healing, is it does support each other. We do support each other here. It's our gift of grace. Tap into that gift of grace, the divine grace that's been bestowed upon us to show up here and listen to each other and talk to each other. This connection, although we may never meet face to face, yet when somebody posts a concern, we're there with an open heart, with an open hand, or we share it with somebody else to gather more energy and more love. this is what we do. We're the gatherers. We're the bees. We're the bees. We're the worker bees. It's time to focus on the children. Because without the children, there'll only be a few humans left with a bunch of robots. And life as we know it, the fullness of the grace of God, the Creator, however you want to look at, will have ended. And each one of us who did not respond on some level of our beingness will carry that energy. And so with that, I honor each of you and know that as time unfolds, this is not the last of the school shootings or of the mass murders or any of this. But it is just a symbol of separation, how far we have separated from our divine source. Much like a cold, a flu, it separates our health, our healthiness from ourselves. And it comes and it goes and it pops up here and it'll pop up there. This is a dis-ease. It's a dis-ease of humanity. This concept that death and killing each other is okay. It's not on any level. And it's time we all pay close attention to how we can influence ending it. And I say that in seriousness, and I ask us all to look in the mirror and ask, what can we do? And even if it doesn't come up with an answer, know who you are, know where you stand. Doesn't mean you have to defend that. And this is, the message of I choose to become the observer rather than the reactor. Because the people who are clinging to death will die for death. Because they believe in death. And for those of us who realize there is no death, on some level, there is no death. There is no such thing as death. And we've been told that in all our religions, if you really listen. Yet even they have promoted death in all their wisdom. And it's time to really collectively, as the beautiful spirit beings we are, embodied in these beautiful physical bodies on this gorgeous, amazing planet Earth, put an end to this insanity. So it isn't one child who is mentally impaired. All of humanity is mentally impaired. And the only way we can change that is to look in the mirror and have that conversation with yourself of where do you stand in all of this? And what do you align with in all of this? So I apologize if this came out as a lecture, but I'm very passionate about what I do. And death and destruction has become a purpose. But in truth, it's a problem. And when we use death and destruction to raise money, to slaughter innocent beings, animals, life, doesn't matter to me. We are no longer the truth of who we truly are. So with that, I'm complete. And this may not get anywhere out there because I shut it off the first video and second one. This is the second one, so I don't know how that works. Leonie, I bless you, dear. Whatever you do, you do. I've had the opportunity to share and speak, and that's what this show is about, is the presence of light, is to bring my light through and honor each and every one of you as the light that you are, and know that on some level the words that came through have made a difference. I condemn none of you. I can only love you, and I can only forgive you, and I can only give you praise for trying to do the best you know how to do in any given moment. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. And we can do this.